Hi there, and welcome back. Continuing on, we're now going to want to start bringing in assets from our repository into our simulation. By the way, as you are in a web tab, you can press F11 in order to make this a full screen so you're better able to utilize the entire space allowed within your window. So, first what we're going to do is we're going to start bringing in our individual assets. You can utilize the search bar up here in order to bring them in. The first one I'm going to want to bring in is a table. So by typing in a table, I can see these. And I'm able to navigate through here. The one I'm going to choose from here is the long table. By simply clicking on the button over here, this will bring in the object, which I'm able to drag in and manipulate. And once I click, it will be dropped down in its place. If I click and hold down, I'm able to rotate it to change its orientation. And you can see it has been brought into my space. Any object that is currently selected will be highlighted in blue, and if I click off of it, it will be unhighlighted. You're also able to adjust or see the exact coordinate locations here, which you are able to edit as you desire. So I could put it in a specific location if I wanted to, and make these adjustments here. For example, putting it at 2.25 and negative 0.5 with an orientation of 90 degrees. If I wanted to, I could also freely manipulate it by utilizing these tools up here. This one lets me move it freely in the X and Z coordinate plane. You can see as such. This one will let me move it in the Y, where I can move it up or down. This will let me rotate it freely if I wanted to. This will let me scale the object up or down, making it bigger or smaller. And this would let me delete the table if I wanted to. You can make it so that this warning can be dismissed so that you're not warned when you're deleting objects, or keep it. And again, you can easily bring in another one just like so. Okay, so I've now brought in my long table. The next set I'm going to need is our dispenser. So if I type in dispenser, I have this industrial dispenser right here, which I'm just going to click to bring in and drag and rotate around. Okay, I'm going to adjust the orientation to 180 degrees so it's facing this direction. Again, I am able to manipulate this with the Move XZ tools if I wanted to, or I can directly just type in the values as such. Okay. Now that this is lined up properly, I'm going to want to bring in some other objects that will serve as buttons for my dispensers. In this case, I'm going to bring in some cylinders. Okay. In this case, I'm going to want a red cylinder, which I can bring in, and a white cylinder. Now, for the purposes of buttons, these are far too large, but I'm able to utilize the scaling function to adjust the size of these to something that would work much better as a button. So if I make it as an example 0.1, that looks to be a lot better to me for a button size. I'm going to apply this to both. Okay. Next, I'm going to rotate this by 90 degrees for both of these in the Z-axis. And I'm going to move this onto a position on my dispenser to where it would look appropriate for a button. And That looks about right to me. .99 seems to be, let's do 1.95 as far as how far it's going to be sticking out. Alright, so with this, I have scaled and put 2 cylinders into my dispenser here, and I'm going to have these cylinders serve as buttons. Oh, actually, we'll bring in a third object to serve as my third button here, and scale this down to the same size. Again, we're just going to orient this as we did with the others. 1.95 is my positioning here. Oop, and I believe I had a height of 1.25. And let's just adjust this spacing here. It doesn't look like I've given myself enough space here, so I'm going to adjust the size of this to make these buttons even smaller. That way I can fit all of them very neatly, side by side, here. .3 for you, 2.2 for you, and 2.1 for you. So now I've got 3 different buttons on my dispenser here, all nice and lined up along this surface. Okay. So, next I need to bring in some spheres that I'm going to have my dispenser dispense. I have 2 here. I have M sphere 1 and M sphere 2. And I'm just going to quickly just bring them in. I'm going to correspond these button presses with spawning each of these spheres here. And the gray one is going to serve to spawn my connection piece. So for that, I need to look for this M connection. The M stands for molecule. What we are building is this dispenser to distribute these molecules so that you're able to take them, dispense as many of the components as you would like, and build and snap them together. So, with this, I have brought in my 3 assets that are necessary for this process, and we are going to use them as a basis for the assembly. So, before we move on, we're going to click Save. We're going to make this a public simulation so I can share this with anyone, and so that you can go through this after, if you'd like, from the link in the description. Now at this point, I can hit play to experience our simulation. The controls for moving in your experience mode are listed here, and once your simulation has loaded, you'll be able to click Start. Now, currently, we have not created any behaviors, but we have populated our scene with the few objects that we have here. As listed here and on the previous screen, you can press WASD to move around. You can rotate the view by holding right mouse click, and we currently have no interactions put in. Okay, but this is our environment. If you want to change your controls, you can go to Settings, Player Movement from Rotation to Strafe, as well as adjust your mouse sensitivity and any other functions here. Okay. So, next I will be showing you how we're going to be adding the behaviors to the assets we have brought in so that they can function as an appropriate simulation where we are utilizing these buttons on this dispenser to create duplicates of these basic assets that you see here on this table, and then we can then assemble them into whatever molecular structure that the user would like to. Thank you so much.